Hello everyone, welcome back to Rolling Solo. My name is Adam Smith, and today we're going to be opening up the expansions and stretch goals for Fireteam Zero. This is currently on Kickstarter right now. There are 10 days left to go. As of this recording, they've raised $89,000 across 904 backers. There's, like I said, 10 days to go, so if you're interested in getting in on this Kickstarter, this is your opportunity. What I'm going to be showing to you today is an unboxing of a couple of the things you'd get within that particular Kickstarter. So this would be including the stretch goals box, which I believe if you are purchasing $50 or more worth of content, they will be throwing this box in essentially from the first Kickstarter. This is basically coming over to the second print, and then this is a Monster 8-pack. This would be like an additional purchase you would add in if you so please, and there's also many different other expansions from A, B, C, and D. There's a bunch of different things you can add to the game, as well as some card packs, things like mission generators and cool stuff like that. So basically, this is just an expansion unboxing for you guys and a stretch goals unboxing, so you can see kind of what you're going to get. So we'll start off with the stretch goals because that's exciting, and then we'll jump into the monster pack after that. So we got a gigantic Fireteam Zero stretch goals box. It's decently thick in terms of thickness. It's quite big too. It's, I think, the same. Actually, sorry, this one is actually a little bit wider than the actual game box itself. But still, let's get into this and crack it open and see what we got inside. So I'm just going to cut this right here. I do apologize if you guys end up hearing any noise on the camera here, because I do have somebody above me who's working on cleaning up some stuff, so there might be a little bit of thunderous noise in the background, or a baby. So here we go, let's break this thing open. Yeah. Okay, and there's probably going to be like peanuts and all kinds of things attached to this because it was, the container had a bunch of it. Let's see here. Alright, so here we go, stretch goals. Let's crack in this. I'm actually kind of excited because it's going to add quite a bit to what's already included in the base game. So I'm really excited for this. Sorry for any focusing craziness right now. It's going to probably be trying to catch up to my insane movement. But let's cut this open. Alright, free the stretch goals. I should probably flip this over correct side up. At this point, I've probably caused a massacre inside, so please don't judge me for how this is going to look when it comes out, because I just flipped this like 19 times. Alright, let's pull this thing out. Let's see if we can do it without destroying everything. Wow, okay, so there you go. There's your stretch goal box. So actually, this is a really cool tray. It's really deep. I'll give you an idea. Like, these miniatures actually sit fairly deep inside. You can see one is turned on its side. But there's a whole bunch of stuff here. So the first thing is you get this giant pack of cards. There's 2 cards packs in here actually, and they're called Escalation Packs, and there's 2 of them. So again, I'm not too sure what's in them, but we'll definitely take a quick rip through them in a second here. What you're seeing down below is a couple things, and I'm not going to be able to speak to exactly what these things are, but from my understanding, I believe this is an NPC character. So again, miniature-wise and quality-wise, it's actually quite nice. There's a lot of detail on these things. So again, if you're into painting and things like that, not bad at all. Very nice. Again, I can't speak to the gameplay on one of that. Really cool. You get yourself, I believe, a companion dog. This looks like a friendly one. So one that can likely join the squad on some missions, or possibly as part of some missions. Of course, there's a bunch of monsters here that I can't really speak to because I don't really know the names of them yet. But I do know that this is the first player token. So it's a really cool one. It has like a giant skull, and then on top of it, it looks like it has a bunch of squad army guys coming out of the top of the trophy with flames in between. And I think it's all the main guys from the base game. So this is an obvious first player token. It's really cool though. So like, you can pass this around the table, you know, whoever's first and stuff like that. That's a really cool, I mean, most times first player tokens, and likely in the base game, it's probably just a standard cardboard token, but this is really interesting and unique, so I like that. Again, there's a ton of monsters here, so I'm just going to show you a couple of them as we go along. This guy kind of looks like something like an Ent from Lord of the Rings. It's kind of like a tree human, so basically it's like the, he's kind of like corrupted by the earth of some type. This guy's just purely messed up. This is kind of like what used to be a human with an alien kind of coming out of him, so that's pretty terrifying. As well as this guy here, who looks again like an Ent, so it's kind of like a wooden creature. So some type of stick that has come alive. And then over here we got some, so again, there's a lot of mutated stuff, because the idea behind this, without me actually knowing the story too well, is that they found some type of, there's something out there that they found during, you know, back when this game was dated for, and I think it was 1940s, based on it being around the World War II era. And so the idea is that there's been mutated humans, and some of these humans are kind of looking a little bit out of shape. So you can see like there's a head up there at the top, but he's definitely been mutated by whatever it is out there that's doing this. Again, I'm not going to be able to speak to that until we start playing, but you can tell these guys have seen better days as humans, so they're starting to mutate. These could be a combination of new bosses or just regular tier monsters. I'm not sure. So, but I'm just going to give you an idea of what each of the different sculpts look like. But again, fairly terrifying. So again, it's kind of based in like a horror setting. This guy here is like, looks like one of the minion Ent kind of things. I keep calling them Ents. They're obviously not Ents. This is not Lord of the Rings, but that's the closest thing I can attach to the guys that look like they're from the woods. Although this guy, now that I look at him closer, actually does not look like he's from the woods. He just looks like a mutated monster of some type. Could be a human, not sure. Then we got, what is this? Oh wow, this is like a rat. I don't know what that is. It's literally like just a pile of mutated like rats kind of coming at you over kind of like a mound of dirt. So it's that's pretty terrifying. There's actually 4 of them across the top here. And then of course there's 2 more of these. I haven't seen these. Oh, so there you go. There's an example of, if you want to compare the, you know, I once was a dog and everything was fine to I once was a dog and everything's gone to hell. That's essentially your comparison there. So these are obviously dogs that have been mutated through whatever means. And so you get a whole bunch of really cool figures in this one. So again, it's going to spice up the variety of the game. It's going to add replayability. You're facing different monsters. So now you've seen everything basically miniature-wise that comes in this stretch goals pack. So again, if you go to the Kickstarter and back it $50 or more, you automatically get this thrown in. So essentially you catch up. If you missed the first Kickstarter, these were the stretch goals in it. So in other words, you're not missing out on anything. You're getting everything that everybody else had got the first time through. Then you got 2 Fireteam Zero Escalation Packs. So they look like this. They kind of come in a cardboard box. We're just going to crack one open at a time. If these are sealed, I might have to rip into them. They are. There could be there's small and large cards. So again, and I think in my first unboxing, I didn't do too much of a rip through of the cards themselves. So I might do it in this one. We might actually just quickly go through it. And you'll also notice there's different languages. So obviously French and English, I believe, are the 2 different ones in here. So you have just seen the French. And of course, if I cut into this, there's a decent stack of cards there on either side. So you can see the thickness. And I'm just going to go a quick pull. Actually, I don't even need to use my knife because it's one of those handy little flaps on the side. So if I get lucky here, I'll be able to get my thumb into it and we can crack into this. And it's being stubborn. Never mind. I might have to use the knife. So let's do that. Now again, I'm going to have to find the English cards, which shouldn't be hard because they're just buried in here. I don't know if it's going to be all English in a row and then all French, but I would guess that that's likely how they packaged it. Okay, so sorry as I just kind of whipped through here really quick off camera because I don't want to spoil it, but I want to take out all the French ones first and then I'll... So again, this is kind of where obviously the decks get a little bit smaller when you start taking the French versions out. It's also to... Oh, I see. Sorry, guys. So what happens here is, and I probably shouldn't have opened this one. Shoot. So that makes a lot more sense now. So essentially what I just opened up here is the French card deck for this stretch goal pack. That makes way more sense as to why there's 2 of them. My apologies. So this was all French. This is the stretch goal card packs, but the French version of them. So these ones I'm going to probably... I don't know what I'll do with. I may throw them out. I may donate them to somebody who is French speaking. I don't know, but there's really no point in keeping those. So obviously the second one must be for English. I do apologize for that. It took me a second to register that. I was thinking there were 2 separate decks, and maybe I was getting a lot of cards. There is still quite a bit though, because when you actually, it makes so much more sense now. So you got all the English speaking ones here. So now we can actually go through this deck, and this would make a lot more sense for the majority of us. Now, if you are French speaking, you're covered, so that's a plus. You'll have a deck that's just designed for you. Okay, and if you happen to know both languages, well, you're even in better shape. So here we go. So we got some rounds. So again, I'm not going to be able to speak to the gameplay elements. I'm simply showing the cards. The one really cool thing about the cards, guys, is you can use, this is where the game gets really interesting in its tactical decisions. You're always using the top half of the card for something, and you can always use the bottom half for something. You can only use, you can't, it's not like Gloomhaven where you're picking one up top, one on the bottom. This is one of those types of games where you choose one or the other. essentially. And you can do things like simple attacks. You can spend it on an attack to beef up your attack, which may give you more dice, that type of thing. Or it could be used for a reaction when something actually happens. So this one says play when an ally is moving to increase their speed. So essentially you're going ahead and increasing how fast they can move. So you got a couple cards there. You've got yourself a monster card here. So the art's going to be interesting. Kneecap, so you can attack the kneecaps. Shows a bullet going through the kneecap of a running monster. If you get 4 of those, you got yourself the FMJ round, the snapshot. So again, it's going to give you a name for each area. So this one is called the FMJ round, and this one below is called snapshot. And keep going. Composition B charge, so that's cool. A big, huge grenade, like kind of explosive device, reaction, collateral damage. This is where the game gets really cool because you have to start making decisions on like how you actually decide to spend your cards. And if you, in the right situation, if you choose the right one, it may benefit you. Or maybe later on you realize you should have taken the other action and you end up putting yourself in some danger. So bayonet shot, push them hard. That's that one. Triple tap and flying tackle. So some of the artwork, by the way, is pretty aggressive. Boat tail round and body shot. Because again, the game is based in war, so it's not going to be a pretty game. In terms of, now it is pretty in terms of the artwork, but I just mean if you are sensitive to monsters and stuff like that and gore, there is a little bit of it here for sure. Wire wrapped charge, resuscitation, but I really like the artwork in the game. I'm a huge fan of this because it's like, I don't have many games that are based in that World War II, but again, it's a fantasy version of World War II, obviously. It's like they found something that they shouldn't have found and have to now fight it. Sabbath Slug and the Corrective Order. Got 4 of those. Looks like they're giving you 4 of everything. Decapitate and Retribution. And a reason for 4 again, guys, is I would believe is that these cards are able to be mixed into the 4 players that you could potentially be playing with, or 4, because there's 4 guys in the base game for the squad. So allowing each character to have one of these cards if they so choose. Explosive round, attacks, distracting fire, another gigantic grenade, thermite barrier, crazy. The artwork's pretty wild. Okay, so here we go. This is where it's actually going to start talking. So the guy I originally incorrectly said was a kind of like an Ent from Lord of the Rings, the guy who was lurching over, the small minion. He was, in fact, a minion, so I was correct on that. It gives you his breakdown. This is essentially how many hit points it takes to kill him. These are his resistances, so he's resistant to melee attacks, ranged attacks, and grenade attacks to these values. So in other words, if you wanted to kill him with a grenade, you'd have to hit grenade-wise 3 total in order to get past to kill him outright. And again, with long-range bullets and stuff like that, it'd be 4. So, and then of course you got some other factors here we'll talk about later. But if they roll particular dice, they get abilities added to them, which is also cool. And of course they have similar abilities I believe are just active all the time. Oh jeez, Merrill Fetch, very happy-looking character. There's your dogs. The Maggot Hound, he's pretty attractive. These guys were vermin, so I was correct. Again, like mutated rats, you don't run into them. Splinter Fiend, pretty aggressive. Exhumed Fetch, another nasty one. The Lunger, that guy seems pretty terrifying. Mangled. The Corrupted Soldier is what I was talking about, like a human that's just been absolutely mangled. And this is where it goes into the heroes. So Hercules is the dog. So again, you can have him as a psychic specialist. That's really cool. So you can actually have a dog and I imagine he'd probably be able to move quite quickly. Maybe not. I don't know. Oh, it says attacks on a minion or elite may bypass 1 resistance of any type. Very cool. So you can bypass resistance by having the dog close by or in the same spot, I'd imagine. Folklorist Minisk, if I'm pronouncing that correctly, was the first guy we pulled out of the box, I think. And he's got a lore specialist, supernaturalist ability. Once per round, change a monster activation die result to blank. That's cool. So that's a really handy guy in situations where the dice comes after you. Because in this game, if you roll poorly, especially when activating a monster, it can be the end of you pretty quick. So having a guy like that around could be a massive benefit. So that's those cards. Now let's take a look at the kind of mini cards. These are going to be twist cards. So these twists, and again, we haven't started the gameplay just yet, but when we get into the gameplay, twist cards are very cool. They essentially are going to throw things at you that are unexpected, things that you're not going to expect, and they're going to happen, I believe, I probably shouldn't say this because I don't remember, but I'm picturing the track in my head. Let's even get this back. So essentially, a twist card will come into play. I believe you do 1, 2, 3 turns, and then the twist card, and then I think every third turn that goes by after that, it hits a twist. Something along those lines. But basically, a twist will do something like this. So if you were playing the first mission, Children of the Typhoon, I believe is the first twist deck that you assemble, this is a new, based on this being part of the stretch goals box, a new twist card that would add into that deck, thereby making the mission more difficult or possibly different every single time you replay it. So that's what's also cool, is you're only going to pull up to a maximum of 4 twist cards, but you may have, your deck may be like, for instance, let's see, there's 2 Children of the Typhoon that you would add into the base game's Children of the Typhoon twist cards, and there might be, I think, 8 of them or something, just roughly guessing, but you only pull 4. So every time you play it, you're going to have different twists that you're going to be, it's going to be very unexpected. And it also makes the game very replayable, because you can't just go, well, I know what this is, this mission is going to be like, I know when this event is going to happen. Nope, you don't. It's going to change every single time. So that's really cool. So again, this is just going to add replayability to these particular missions from the base game, as well as maybe expansions, but I believe it's just the base. So we got a couple other twists. Again, you just read the bottom and you resolve it as normal. So like something like this, like says, any hero that ends his turn with a minion in his location must discard 1 card, select randomly. Not good, right? And of course, there's all kinds of other ones. So Ruined Bark, Defensive Vines, Fruiting Bodies. What? Fruiting Bodies? That's weird. Death Eater. That sounds wonderful. Barbed Carapace? Carapace, yeah. Reinforced Snooze. Sometimes the words are cut off just a little bit based on the font, and I'm like doubting whether I'm pronouncing it right. Exposed Worms, Malevolent Smoke, Layered Tissue, Grasping Jaws, Sprint, Bloodfest, wow, Colony Division. So yeah, there's a lot of really cool cards to add into your Fate decks or twist decks, sorry, to make them more interesting. So that's really cool. So that's pretty much it. I think at this point, that is the end of the stretch goal box, although we still have, remember, the Monster A pack. So I'm gonna put this stuff off to the side. We'll keep it, it's kind of still in frame, really. We're going to put this offside, and we're going to crack into this guy. So this is the first of, I don't know how, I believe there's 3 or 4 of them. So this is Monster A pack. Comes with a bunch of new monsters that are creepy, and then of course all their corresponding cards. You got Daughter of the Typhoon, Whispering Fetch, Flincing Tree, Infested Queen, and Grim Imposter. So some very interesting individuals. I was going to go ahead and cut into this and try to do this correctly so that I don't ruin the box. So we'll just pull back the wrap on this. Now this one's going to have a little less stuff in it, obviously. The box art's really cool though, so I think I'll probably end up trashing this stretch goals box and just merging this stuff into the base box because it's pretty big. I think there's room for it. As well as, remember when we did the base box unboxing, there was a lot of extra room for cards, so that's a huge plus. I can just get these decks of cards into the base box and not have to worry about it thanks to their really handy tray that they have made for this game. So we're going to pull these out, and there you go. The only thing that moved around a little bit was the cards, but they have their own particular spot if I hadn't have thrown this thing around in circles. So we've got 5 new monsters, so I'll just bring this right up close. You can see them. So there's one. She looks wonderful. Again, these guys are not pretty. These are not the kind of monsters that you want to run to in the game. That guy looks really cool. It's like a weird twisted tree. And that guy's kind of got his mouth going face up with his hands out. That's pretty crazy. So again, we got some cards here. So model scale, this looks like the biggest one, probably the coolest too. Really creepy looking tree. So you probably don't want to run into that. I don't know what these monsters do in terms of their abilities, so that's going to be really interesting to see if maybe they spawn minions that come after you. So very much on the front of this box was this guy here. So you can see that character there is this guy right here. So there's his miniature. So he's got his face in his hands. It's really creepy. And then of course there's his cards. You can see these guys are quite tough. The really cool or interesting thing about this game is it scales really well. So in other words, if you're playing with say 2 individuals in your squad, then you would put 2 tokens, I forget what they're called, it's 2 tokens on your monster card, and you essentially have to hit them down to their damage of 7, and then you can remove a token. And then you hit them down to a damage of 7, and you remove a token. So if you're playing solo with 1 squad member, you'd only have 1 token because you'd only need to get down 7 hit points to kill him the first time. But that's where the scaling comes. If you're playing with 4, you put 4 tokens on him and have to hit him down 7 4 times before you can finally kill him. So that's how the game scales across multiple squad members, if I'm not mistaken. So somebody can let me know if I've thrown that awry or not. So here's your wonderful, oh wow, so art's a little aggressive. Infested Queen, Daughter of Typhoon. So again, these guys are not the type of individuals that you want to run to. And of course, you've got the French versions as well. So we'll just run through those really quick. So the French I'm not going to really care about holding on to. But yeah, that's pretty much it. That is the unboxing for Fireteam Zero Monster Pack A, as well as the stretch goals. So if you guys are interested in the game or wanting to check it out, find out more about the game, you can head to Kickstarter. Fireteam Zero second print is what they're calling it there. Again, 10 more days remaining to get in on the Kickstarter. And like I said, it's, I believe, if you can actually pledge at the $1 level, and I believe that gives you access to the pledge manager later, so that you can go ahead and add items when they release the pledge manager. So it's not one of those campaigns where you have to put all your money up front. You can actually put $1 in just to get access to the pledge manager, and then at that point you can go ahead and decide whether or not you want to add even more in. So even though there's 10 more days, you actually have a little bit more leeway or time there to determine what your choices are really going to be in the end. So anyway, the real point of this was just to show you what's inside the box. At the end of the day, we will be doing a showcase for this. So at this point, the next video for Fireteam Zero that you're going to see is going to be a solo setup video. So I'm going to show you how to get the game to the table in the quickest amount of time without any rules explanations. So that'll be the next video coming when I'm able, of course, because I'm still currently doing 7th Continent as well as Hop-A-Maka's Origins, so I've got a few things on the roll there. But this is going to be in the mix as well. I'm also not forgetting about Nemo's War, which is also in the pipes as well. But anyway, I hope you guys will join me in that. If you haven't subscribed, please do. And thank you again for all the support. Give this thing a thumbs up if you like and want to see more of Fireteam Zero. And I'm really looking forward to playing this one. We'll likely be playing this one in the dark, I think. This is going to be one of those games that's kind of got that horror theme, so, and I shouldn't say kinda, it does. We'll play this one in the dark with some dim lighting. It'll be really cool, and we'll get some, I don't know, ambiance going. It'll be really interesting. So hopefully you guys will join me for that. Well, it'll be fun, and thank you again. So until the next time, everyone, keep on rolling solo.